Morning and welcome to a lovely sunny winter's morning. Doesn't the world just feel better when the sun's shining? Today we're off to meet somebody who is, well, he's an old friend of the channel, to be honest. He's been on before. If you're a long time viewer, you will have seen him talking about his house and renewable energy. He's got Tesla batteries, solar panels, all sorts of bits and pieces. And he is kind of my go-to guy, if you like, for all things renewable energy. But he's made an interesting decision or choice recently, which I'm hoping that by talking to him I can understand, because he's had a number of electric vehicles now, but he's just changed his 2018 40 kilowatt hour Nissan Leaf for a much older BMW i3 Rex. And I want to understand why he's done that. Well, Mark, well, thank you very much for meeting up with us again, and right. Well, thank you for agreeing to talk to us about some of the choices you made. I know there's some quite personal reasons, and we'll come on to those later, in particular when we talk about the i3 that you've just bought. Yeah. But before we get to that, let's rewind and let's go back to, this is your third electric vehicle. Yeah. What did you start with, and when did you start?
My first one was 24 kilowatt Leaf. Mm-hmm. My son had a 24 before that and a 30, and then he moved to the 30 and I bought the 24. Yeah. I think I paid 10 for it.
When was that?
So we're going back now three years, and then I upgraded. Yeah. When the new 40 kilowatt got sucked into the
hype around it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, which model did you opt for?
I bought the launch edition. Yeah. In the minty green, as I used to call it. I think you actually called it minty green on one of your videos one day. Yeah, and I think that was 28. Which yeah, it's a lot of money, but when you think what they're costing today, that was really, and what we got for that launch edition, the things that were in the car, because it wasn't a Techno, it was like the next level down, but with extra bits. Yes. You bought an awful lot of technology for your 28,000.
You really did, yeah.
And it was a very, very nice car, I have to say. Absolutely no problems at all. But at the end of last year, my PTSD really got bad. Mm-hmm. Again, the thing with PTSD is every year as you grow older, your body's ability to cope with the PTSD that you've got erodes away. So every year you're looking at this sort of downward spiral. Sure. And it caught me out, because I had quite a good year last year and I was really buoyant. Yeah. And it caught me out, and I had to go to the doctor because I nearly walked in front of a bus a few times just to end it all. Really.
I think it's fair to say that just doing this, just coming to a coffee shop and having a coffee a few years ago, you wouldn't have done that.
I didn't do this for 8 years.
Yeah, so the improvement you've made is significant.
Yeah, that's the help of combat stress I went to, and it's damn hard, but they help me. They help me deal with how I can react to things. I mean, you can see me now, and I'm not comfortable.
No.
But at least we're here. Yeah. And we've had a nice cup of coffee.
We've had a very nice cup of coffee and a piece of cake, so it's not all bad.
No. But anyway, at the end of last year, my PTSD was really getting bad. Mm-hmm. And I decided to give up driving. Yeah. I said to my wife, and she agreed. She said, "You're just not comfortable driving."
Yeah, I know I keep interrupting, but I think it's really important to stress you're a man that's loved cars your whole life.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've probably lost count how many cars you've had. Yeah. I know we talk about it every time. You've had some amazing cars. You're regularly changing them. So it's not just a mode of transport for you. It's been a massive part of your life. Yeah, and that decision, I would imagine, was really difficult.
It was really difficult. Absolutely. It was very traumatic to make that decision. And, I'm only 62, so I know I look 80, but I'm only 62. So, you've got to think, well, it could be an awful long time. But it was just the position I was in. Yeah. My head was at a certain space, and I just couldn't cope with mentally with driving the car. The car was I found lots of bings and bongs on the new Leaf that wasn't on the original. Mm-hmm. Which suddenly, with my sort of anxiety levels, what was that noise for?
Right.
You get a little bit hyper.
Okay.
And then the steering wheel used to shake every time you go over a little rise because it thought you were going off the road, and things like that. So those things were getting difficult to cope with. And it's quite a big car, actually. Surprisingly,
it's a family car, isn't it? There's no doubt about it.
Parking it, I found a difficulty with the length. The width into the garage. Scraped it a couple of times, brand new car, scraped it a couple of times.
Your garage, it's a big double garage, it's massive. You can comfortably fit 2 cars in there, can't you?
So everything just got on top of me.
Yeah.
So I said to Dawn, that's it. Let's get rid of it. I spoke to Jonathan Portersfield at ecocars.net. Wonderful chap, absolutely brilliant chap. And he sent somebody down and bought it for me, and they sold it to another person on the islands up there.
Yeah.
So I know the car's gone to a good home. And it's very good. So
there was a period there then when you had no car.
No car. No. I decided that I would get myself a mobility scooter, which I did. A nice 3-wheel one with a roof, and I used that on the cycle lanes. And I could go all the way around our village quite happily. To go to the shops for Dawn if she wanted something and all that. So that's what I used, and that was wonderful. Because it was there was nobody else on the cycle lanes. Yeah. But I sat outdoors for a couple of months, and there was just this desire to, I actually want to go down to the beach today, but I can't because I haven't got a car any longer. My son's working, so he couldn't take me. Didn't want to pay a taxi. I haven't used the bus since I was 17. So I said to Dawn, no, I think I could possibly look at getting a car now. Not going to buy another new one. It's ridiculous. Prices are crazy, aren't they?
Oh, just seem to go up every day.
Yeah. So, but I said I've got to have a smaller car.
Yes.
And I wanted one that went into the garage, but I could still get my mobility scooter in front of it and fit into one side of the garage because my son uses the other side. So I decided to look at the i3, and I went off to. Just EVs. We know those because they're a local company to us, aren't they? They were at Fully Charged. I spoke to the lady at Fully Charged, and I was very impressed by their knowledge of EVs. We test drove it, and I was staggered by the features of it that were different to the Leaf. The steering of the Leaf. When you drive a Leaf, you think this is really good. This is really good turning circle. You know, I can do this. But when you get in the i3, all of a sudden you realise that actually the Leaf doesn't turn as quickly and as well as the i3 does.
You just did that turn there in
almost
half the width of the road.
You wouldn't have been able to do that.
No
with
way.
a Leaf.
I would have used all of that.
Yes. It was quieter than even the new 40 kilowatt, the i3 that I bought, which is 3 years old. It's actually quieter than the new Leaf, which is a nice thing. But when I bought my Leafs, I had to have a man come from Christchurch to fit bracketry on the seat so I could fit into the car.
Okay.
They pushed the seat back an inch from the position of everybody else's car, and got into the i3. And if I put the seat all the way to the back, I can't reach the steering wheel.
So it's a smaller car, and yet there's more room in there.
Far more space. Wow. Yeah.
The first thing I noticed, having jumped out of my Leaf and straight into here, is just how direct the steering is in this. It needs very little input, and it gives you an awful lot of feedback, which is really nice. And the other thing is, for a car that looks so small from the outside, this really does feel like a big car.
Well, it's massive, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, I take the space of 2 people, and you're sitting next to me, and we've still got loads of room.
There's no issues there. I mean, I'm probably an average person, 5'9", average build. There's acres of room in here. When I first got in, and the seat was still in your position, I felt like a child. My feet didn't
you can't reach the pedals, can you?
No. So there really is acres of room, and like you said before, with the seat adjustments and the steering wheel adjustment, it will fit anyone in here.
Yeah, definitely. The other thing I liked about it was it's a different driving position. Yeah. The Leaf is although it's not a low car, but you sit low.
You sit in it.
Yeah.
Like any
the
other
i3
car.
sits more upright. Got greater visibility over the hedgerows, and for driving, you can see much further ahead. And I always think that's nice for my my condition,
Yes. Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to be more aware of what's
Feel
coming
more
towards
relaxed
us.
about what's going on, anticipate things earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, it is a much smaller car. I mean, it's nearly 1.5 foot shorter than the Leaf. It's a few inches narrower, but when you're in it, it feels bigger.
It does. And one thing we haven't talked about yet is it's a Rex. So
Yes,
that really interests me, why you've gone to that.
The reason I bought the Rex is because obviously it's only got a 22 kilowatt battery. Because the early one started with a 22 kilowatt, then they upgraded that. And they've upgraded it again now. But the 22 kilowatt battery really will only get you 80 miles in the winter. And as I said, you know, I do this trip once a month, which is 80 miles. But 80 miles was a push. And so I thought, well, I'll get the Rex. And it just happened that the car I looked at was a Rex. And looking on the interweb, you know, it's 80 miles on the EV, 80 miles on the Rex. So it puts me back into 160 miles. Not that I want to use the Rex, don't get me wrong. That would not be sensible for me to use that and pollute the planet. I'm not. But
no, and I think it comes back into what we were talking about before, that anxiety of
exactly.
What if that charge is not working?
Yeah.
What if I don't quite make it?
Yeah.
Well, there's a petrol engine and there's a petrol forecourt that you can go on to and fill up if you need to.
And so I thought, well, it's there. The car's there. The car I wanted this car because of the colour of it and the interior colour. It's light interior, which helps me with my PTSD. I don't like anything too dark.
Okay.
And it just happened to be a Rex. But what that has done is amazing. It's taking a little cog from out of my head that was whirring around previously, saying, what happens if this, what happens if that? It's disappeared.
Gone. Yeah.
So that helps me enormously to know that that's it's in the boot. It's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And I can put it on any time.
And you can go back to enjoying your driving.
Yes.
Which is the most important thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I've never driven with a Rex coming on, so as I understand it, it doesn't drive the car. What it does is it charges the battery.
Correct.
What's it like with it on? Is it noisy? How does it feel?
I don't know what we're at. We might be able to get it on in a minute.
Okay.
It won't come on until the battery's at least 75%. We now have a Rex running.
You've told it to hold its state of charge at 75%.
Yeah, 75.5% is that. And I can't hear it. Can you hear it?
No.
It's just a tiny little...
There's nothing.
There's just something there that wasn't there before, but it's very, very minute, isn't it?
I can't even hear anything, I'll be honest.
No.
I can just hear it now.
Can you hear it now?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing 9 miles an hour in this traffic here, and
I can't hear it, but...
Oh, it's so faint. I can... And as I say, if I didn't know it was on, I wouldn't even notice it.
No.
Yeah, I know from talking to you, it wouldn't be your first choice. You would love just to have a battery electric vehicle with no Rex. But for you personally, it fits the bill perfectly.
I think given the choice, if I was given the choice today, I would, having driven them both, I would go for the BMW.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it's a nicer drive. I think it's safer in terms of the driving position.
Well, Mark, thank you ever so much for letting me have a drive, but also talking about your experience. I know obviously some quite personal experiences for you there, and I'm sure it's quite difficult to kind of talk about it, but I think it was important to understand why you have ended up with this car when you had that 40 kilowatt hour Leaf. So I really do appreciate that. PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder, is one of those horrible, horrible illnesses that affects so many people. And we're not just talking about service personnel, we're talking about people from all walks of life who some know and some don't know they have it. But as we saw with Mark there, it's your pot of anxiety and stress is so full up that the slightest thing can tip you over the edge. So for him, he explained that just having the rumbling in the steering wheel and the new Nissan Leaf when it goes over a white line, that was causing only a small amount of anxiety, but that little bit of extra anxiety was enough just to tip him over the edge. So you can see, well, it's not just them that it affects all those people around you, especially your family, your loved ones, the most important people to you in your life. It affects them just as much. And what I found talking to Mark and other friends of mine that have got PTSD is that once they admitted to themselves that they had a problem and they accepted the help that was available to them, all of a sudden it became more manageable, and they almost felt like they had wasted a big chunk of their life having denied it, ignored it, just thought they were angry people, just thought there was other things in their life that was giving them the problems that they were having, not understanding that it's a mental health problem. It's like any other illness. It can be treated, okay? Maybe it can't be cured in everyone, but if you are willing to open up and accept that you have the problem and seek the help that is available, and there's an awful lot of help available now, it's so well recognised, then perhaps that could make a difference for you. Perhaps that could improve your life and the life of the families around you. So don't ignore it. If you know somebody who's got it, please help them, support them the best you can. And I'm going to put some links below the video today, just so that perhaps it will give you some pointers as to where to go to get that help that you or maybe your friends and family need. So thank you to Mark. I know that was really difficult for him today to open up in the way he did. And it gave us a real insight into his mental health issues and how he every day he really struggles to overcome them, and what still a positive outlook he's got. You know, he hasn't just thrown the towel in. He still tries every single day to live with this issue that he has. So thank you to Mark, and thank you for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Till next time, take care.